Reilly's been waiting patiently for me, and long story short, I'm just wrapping up a few things before Reilly and I, as Reilly understands it, before Reilly and I go night nights, and trying to think of what else. I'm trying not to burp as well, so excuse me if I burp for a minute. Anyway, so I'm just wrapping up a few things before Reilly and I, like I said, as Reilly understands it, for Reilly and I go night nights, and I know that not a lot of people watch my live streams anyway. The only reason that I'm recording this live is because, oh, now I'm hearing the microphone echo. Anyway, the only reason that I really don't record this live, I mean, I am recording live. Anyway, so the only reason that I'm not really recording it on my camera per se and doing a live stream instead, or not, anyway, oh, the point is, Reilly's looking at me like she's about to say, "You're recording anyway, Mama, and let's just go night-nights." So, Reilly and I, Jesus, what I get for having one glass of wine and then hearing about the news that, well, there was quite an incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner tonight. I obviously have my own opinions on Donald Trump, and I do think that Donald Trump should be impeached because, for one matter, Donald Trump totally lacks empathy, and he did not provide enough security for the White House Correspondents' Dinner event. And I guess I can get on here, but for all the law and order and, wanting to protect the American people in this, and because he unfortunately has faced people, for lack of better terminology, because he has faced people like the suspect Cole Allen before, he could have been empathetic enough to provide security for everyone at the event. And for all his talk about, respecting the Constitution and law and orderness, he could have provided enough security for journalists, but he didn't even provide security outside of the building. And there was even a pro-Trump person saying that he didn't provide enough security. And then, the one thing I will say though, I hope that if nothing else, this is a redemption arc for Stephen and Katie Miller, because unlike Donald Trump, who it was reported did not protect his wife, Stephen Miller actually protected Katie Miller, whereas Donald Trump left Melania Trump to fend for herself and jump under one of the tables. And people are going to say to me too, well, if Joe Biden had done this, I have been critical of both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And actually, when Joe Biden said, I am the Democratic Party for right now, that's when I knew that, as it turned out, Joe Biden was going to fancy himself like Stalin. He dismissed the then imminent invasion of Ukraine as what would be a quote-unquote minor incursion. And then, of course, what happened with October 7th. Point being, just because I criticize Donald Trump doesn't mean I also haven't criticized Joe Biden. And I did a write-in in terms of who would be president for the past 3 elections. And not only that, but I will say this. I will say that one of the privileges Reilly certainly has is that she doesn't have to worry about just everything that's going on in the world. She knows that unless God willed otherwise, Reilly knows that unless God willed otherwise, she would never have to worry about food, she would never have to worry about clothing. And I've said that I would want Reilly to outlive me. And because I have told Reilly too that, I'm about to cry, I can imagine life without Reilly, and it'd be very sad and very scary and very lonely. And I remember when, jeez, because I just got so much on my mind too. I remember when I had such a bad depression flare up, I could not get out of bed because it was just so bad. And I was very lucky that Reilly needed as much sleep as she did in the first year. I know that Reilly's looking at me right now. Right, we'll go night-nights in a few minutes, puppy. As far as the suspect in what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner tonight, whatever grievances he had, he unfortunately chose to handle whatever his grievances were in an unlawful and frankly a Trumpian manner. And I remember when Donald Trump bragged about, oh, he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any votes. Why stoop down to, regardless of what one's grievances or grudges are, why stoop down to Donald Trump's level? And by the way, in light of the security incident, I really do think that Donald Trump should be impeached because he's shown a reckless disregard for others. And unlike, of all people, Stephen Miller, Donald Trump left his own wife to fend for herself, where Stephen Miller actually protected his own wife. And I want to be careful too, because like when I use one person's name, I want to use another person's name. And so what I should have said is Donald Trump left Melania Trump to fend for herself, where Stephen Miller protected Katie Miller. And in case anyone's curious, and I've said this before, I have OCD, anxiety, ADD, depression, OCD, anxiety, ADD, depression, and PTSD, not to mention the cerebral palsy and other conditions. For lack of better terminology, it can be difficult to keep up with what I have, and just because I have so many conditions, and some people would say that I'm exaggerating, I still remember after 9/11 the onset of my OCD and my anxiety, and perhaps even my depression. But I remember that the OCD and anxiety was so bad, I was sitting, I'm just going to flip